Fuck, finally happened. Finally
Wakey,
happened.
wakey.
Where if you didn't text me, it just would never I just never would have showed. I mean, at some point I would have looked at my phone calendar, but I didn't set any sort of alarm because I'm like, I'm always up by 9 a.m. I'm like, it'll come to me. And today I woke up and I was like, before 8 o'clock, and I'm like, I'm just kind of like half out of it. I'm like, I'm gonna lay in bed. I'm just gonna lay in bed today. I
Time
laid
of
in bed
day.
today for the longest I've laid in bed, and probably
Yeah.
no lie, like for going to bed at a fairly reasonable time, I was in bed probably the longest time I've in like a couple of years. Not even kidding. And then Matt's like, "Do you want to
What's the
record?" And I'm
occasion?
like, "What's the occasion?" I finally had something to be late for on a Sunday morning, so I wanted
Yeah.
to capitalize. Like the
Yeah.
occasion is there was no occasion, and I did actually have to wake up. Whereas there's days where I don't have to wake up, and I'm up out of bed at like 7 o'clock. So whatever.
Good. You made it worth it.
I figured we hit
You're
that
one
70
late.
episode mark. So this is all like new territory for you. So I figured like let the bullshit just start rolling in. Why fight it? This is what happens when you take a
I know.
podcast this long.
Yep. And I was thinking about it, but I'm not even going to give you a hard time about it today. I'm going to milk it for a long, long time. I'm just going to hold it over you for a long, long time. Just the way the gods intended for smiting and,
Right. If
that
you're
kind
trying
of
to
thing.
rekindle a friend, if you're trying to rekindle a friendship, what you want to do is this time around hold shit over people. Never let them
Yeah.
forget. That's cool. I
Let's
mean,
go.
yeah, let's go.
Or not. Okay. Let's get
Avenue, my priority.
I've confused my priorities. Isn't it supposed to come to me? Yes, this is how it's meant to be. Every little thing flashing on a screen. Age of convenience. My daddy worked hard for this.
So what kind of what's your in bed, like, if you, I guess you don't do it too much,
What?
but what's your in bed routine? Is it scrolling? Were you watching something?
Yeah,
What's the move?
you know what? It was Reddit. I just go onto Reddit and see what chaos there is. Reddit is, so for those of you that don't know, because Reddit's weird. Reddit's definitely been around forever, but a lot of people still have no idea what Reddit is, and it's a
Yeah.
little hard to explain.
Or
But
they're
basically,
scared.
it is a it is a group of forums, and like people can propose questions or just post things, and then everyone can comment on it. So it's like Facebook, but for the entire world, and it can be divided into themes and categories and stuff. So you can subscribe to whatever pages you want, whatever forums, and then people will just post on stuff. And so you're like, hey, I like to watch videos of street racers getting in accidents while they're trying to look cool. That's okay. There's a subreddit for that, and there's like 50 and there's like 50,000 people in it. So you can just have videos of that bullshit where you're like, haha, fuck that guy. You can have a stream of that. And the posters on Reddit are geniuses. I have seen some of the funniest stuff I've ever read in comments in Reddit. So Reddit taught me this morning that there was a shark attack in Florida, 2 shark attacks 4 miles apart, likely to be the same shark. So
Ooh.
sharks are really getting upset about us being in the water. Like they attack someone and then they go, all right, got half of your arm. I'm going to swim up shore 4 miles to see if there's any other fuckers that need some attitude adjustments. And there were.
Yeah, because it's not even eating the person, right? It's just biting
Mm-mm,
it.
mm-mm.
It's just
Yep.
for sport.
Right. The sharks are killing for sport. So, I like when a comedian said this once. It was like, we got to stop calling it shark infested waters it's people infested waters. The shark, that's where the sharks are. Like sharks are in water. You can't have shark infested waters. You have people infested waters like in the shark community. So yeah, some
Wow.
food for thought there.
That's interesting.
It's
It's
not,
a
but it sounds it.
I saw a video of a guy who was testing. I think they were testing a new kind of shark cage, but it was like plexiglass or something like that. And so this
Okay.
great white was like swimming around it, sort of testing, like bumping into it, and then did a full-on charge swim from beneath it. Just came up and broke right through the bottom of it, like shattered it. And the guy, like, was inside. The shark went through, like by the dude, missed him, and then went up through the other side. And I think it was from a documentary. Somebody had posted in the comments about it, but it was like from some documentary about it. And the guy didn't die then, but the next day he had a heart attack, and like he survived it, but he can no longer like dive or anything because there's like something wrong with his heart, which makes I probably wouldn't want to go in anymore either. But it was just this utter strength and just the shark figuring it out. It's like, I'm done with this shit.
A couple things that make me think of that is there is someone who has to volunteer when someone asks the question, how do we know if this new shark tank is going to work? Like someone has to go like, I'm game. Then he's not like, he's got the story that shit sounds like it shouldn't be able to be told. It's like, yeah, I swear. Yeah, no, I used to swim with the sharks. I tested, when they would make new types of shark cages, I tested those, and yeah, as you can imagine, pretty good success rate. We were running at like 93% by the time I was done. And people were like, "Excuse me, wait, what? It wasn't 100%? Oh, no. I had one. There was an incident. Oh yes, there was. Shark broke right fucking through. I got out of the water. I went over to the guy who created it, and I fucking slapped him. like how do you? Isn't there other ways to test if the shark cage works other than putting a human in the shark cage and putting it in sharks and having it run into by sharks?
Wouldn't you put like what happened to those guys, the crash test dummies? How about those? Does the shark know? I guess the shark.
We're not using them anymore.
But did they cut the dude? They like, we are gonna cut you.
Well,
we're gonna leave it.
So hold on. Then you put chum in with the crash test dummies. I love how we're like, oh, they need to bleed. No, the test dummy itself doesn't need to bleed. I don't think we throw the term around, but I don't think sharks smell fear. So I don't think that's part of it. So I think you can manipulate putting blood in there too. I don't know, man.
Did you ever go to so now Reddit is obviously the hub of all forums, foragery, and but you used to have to go to like specific websites and then into those forums. So if you were like, especially with like bands and stuff, I'm sure did you ever do that? Participate in forums like dedicated to the website? So you would go to like, let's say like a Metallica forum because you're on Metallica. Because you used to have people used to go to websites of things that they were interested in, like not just like these hubs, these amalgamations, these aggregated like websites. You'd go to like, Metallica, whatever, like realbigfish.com, and then talk in that forum where the main forum would be you talk about Real Big Fish. And then there's like probably other stuff or news or other bands. Like, hey, you can't bring up Megadeth in here and their new record. That's for other. And there'd always be these forum police that like took it way too like the mods.
Yeah, when they're for like you're posting seriously under the wrong category. Yeah. Dude. Yeah.
This is your last strike. This is your last strike, Johnny Big Balls. No more.
All right. All they can do is know your poster name. That's it. Yeah. If you change that, you're literally starting fresh.
Yeah.
You know, it's weird that you say that because like now you think about it, it's like the internet has gone through. It's nothing like what the internet used to be. It's the same internet, but it's nothing like how it used to be used. Like, dude, like remember Encyclopedia Metallica? Remember that website? That was just kind of like a catch-all. Like you could find lyrics there. I'm like, what an awesome site. It was like forums, lyrics, tour, like old tour information and stuff. And I'm like, dude, what a wealth of knowledge. And sites like that just got phased out for way worse sites. But
Yeah, Wikipedia probably killed a lot of
Wikipedia
like
really changed
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wikipedia changed a lot. You can still find errors in Wikipedia, which is fun. I like you can all right, you know what's a neat thing is you find first off there's a hierarchy. So it's like I like when I go on to see like information about a band or something and like certain members or other projects they had will have a sub page, will have their own Wikipedia
Mm-hmm.
page and one and certain won't, and I'm like, "Oh, guess who didn't matter in this fucking band?" Like the member who's not a hyperlink. But like
Yeah.
some Wikipedia pages are so short, and I'm like, why does Wikipedia allow this? And like the one factoid it'll be about the bass member that was in this one band from 1997 to 98. It'll be like, you know, Bob Smith was also an avid collector of salt and pepper shakers. And that's like the entire Wikipedia page. And you're like, and like there's no credit or anything to it. So you're like, did he update this? And that was the one thing he wanted to mention. Did someone know this one thing about him and they made the time to like make this page? Wikipedia is filled with some weird sub pages, but I'm here for it. I love it.
Yeah, if somebody wants some Wikipedia, the Strangely Familiar podcast, that'd be excellent. We won't even correct it. You can just put whatever you
No,
want
fuck it.
on there.
Make up whatever you want. I don't give a shit.
You can do that for
How do
free.
you make? See, everyone talked about like back in the day, especially before they were heavily moderated. You could update a Wikipedia page to some bullshit. Like when I was in college, you could update Wikipedia and it would stay there for like 4 days, 5 days, and no one would change it.
Yeah.
To fuck with one of my friends in college when we were writing a paper for economics. Hers was on. I want to say it was Costa Rica. And I went to the Wikipedia page knowing she would eventually go there. And I changed her name to like the president of Wikipedia or the president of Costa Rica. And she did go there, but it was like 2 days later and it was still there. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, here's to hoping someone's gone to this page looking for insight and found this pile of bullshit from me. But I think Wikipedia is a lot more stingent with their updates.
Also, there's just a
now
lot
and their
more
monitoring.
people like that are active with that stuff. So it used to be when it was more Wild Westy, there was fewer people on the internet, and now
True.
that's what's glorious about it. And like you were saying with the Reddit, it's like the funny, like when you group think something, the funniest joke will always come out of it, or the smartest like take on it will come out of it. Like it's so, and then you'll also have the people that like if there's one mistake on Wikipedia, within an hour there'll probably be like 5,000 people like emailing about it or correcting it because everybody's connected to it now. And
Yeah.
but will never be fun. I mean, I love like when I scroll through Instagram, I can like now my favorite thing about doing it is not necessarily the content or the reels I'm watching, but it's like knowing like, oh, this comment section is going to be insane. I got to flip through it. Like I know this because it is like no matter what you're thinking, the funniest thing is going to be in there like right at the top. And the as a group, we're very good at picking out what the funniest thing is. Like we're even good at like sifting through what's just like the hateful either political shit or somebody just trying to be a troll and like finding like mining the funniest thing that maybe is seemingly hateful and rude but is actually funny. Like I think we're very sophisticated as an entirety as a group, a lot of times. And it's kind of wild how it's developed that way.
Reddit actually gives me I don't think there's anything that shines the light on the general public better like what you're describing than Reddit for me. Like Reddit's almost like saves me from hating the general public that I interact with on individual basis like day to day. You're right, because with karma voting and stuff like that, it really balances the universe out and it's magical. But yeah, man. So I can get stuck in a Reddit vortex. I haven't been caught in a YouTube vortex in a long time. I know we talked about that a long time ago in episodes, but it's usually Reddit now.
I have lately only because of the music, like a lot of yeah, my music algorithm's been fire. Amel and the Sniffers. That's my recommendation. They've been out for like 6, 7 years. They're like this Australian
What was the
punk
first
band.
word?
Amel, Amyl. Amy.
And
So
you
she's
thought
this chick.
you thought you saying that word was going to make me understand. Like I'm like, is he trying to say
No,
fucking animal?
I did.
Okay,
Yeah,
amel.
yeah. Amel and the Sniffers. But the reason I found them was because they just had this video pop out, and they've been sort of like growing and growing. And I guess they were at like South by like years ago. I didn't see him, but he had this video come out, and I was like, that dude looks familiar. Like the guy in the video that's with the lead singer, this chick who's
Mhm.
like the most energy I've ever seen. So I've been watching all these live videos. But the guy in the video was Stephen Ogg, who's plays Trevor in Grand Theft Auto 5. So I was like, who is this guy? And he's like that. And then he's also in Walking Dead, but he like matches this girl's energy. And I was like, I don't know if he's in the band or what, but turns out he's not. But this video is pretty awesome. And then I started going through, and this girl is just some of the most energy I've ever seen. So I've been going out of Vortex, a lot of their live tunes, but it's also been a lot of my gym music lately. So it's sort of like punkish. It's like a combo of, say, like old school, like kind of like Ramones-ish and maybe Stooges and Blondie or something like that. It's like got this very old school vibe, um, rhythmic punk. But she's not always, her cadence changes, but sometimes she's screamy, sometimes she's not. But yeah, they're Aussies, and yeah, just the stage energy, especially for most of the time, they're a 3-piece plus a vocalist, so they kind of create a really awesome wall of sound. The bassist sometimes does like chunky guitar tones to like support the rhythm, but just ultimate energy. So I've been digging that, and then they just keep, man, YouTube's really hitting it for me lately. I don't know why, but it's really working. The fine people at Google have figured out how to hack my brain. And it's really
Good for
working.
them.
It's scary. Yeah, I know. They nailed me for sure.
Got me good.
We were talking about, well, tying back to Reddit and something else we talked about, I don't know, a few episodes ago. I saw on a subreddit, I don't know if it was in Austin or something like that, but there was a guy who works for the city that got in trouble for using his credit card to buy frivolous things. So, because I remember I was talking about travel, how I used to use my credit card to like go out and buy food or go drinking or like turn in like kind of not fake receipts, but not the itemized receipts, and just what I used to use. And that was like a State Department funded thing. So, kind of a bigger deal. But this guy in Austin, I saw on the KXAN Austin TV news, got busted. I mean, I'll give you a guess to say, so employee used city credit card to buy blank, then altered receipts, audit fine. So this guy, this
Porn.
article came out like a couple weeks ago. And so they found out that he bought something. I'll tell you this, it's a movie. And he listed it on his expense report as safety reminders for crew during the hot season.
It's porn, isn't it?
You would think so, because he all capsed hot during the hot season. But no, he purchased John Wick 4 on a city credit card.
What the hell? What
I
a
know.
mislead. What a mislead. It like sets it up perfectly. It pitches you a softball, but then
know.
it ends up being a touchdown. It makes no, wow, what a misdirect.
And so he turns in this receipt that's like he blacked out like the itemized. So I guess it said like so he blacked out a portion, and then they asked for a second one, so he blacked it out again, and then he had it, the title said workplace shooter safety awareness. So he's like, I better up the stakes on this. It's not just about safety for the workers in the hot summer. I better make it an active shooter awareness thing.
I mean, John Wick, at least it's somewhat
I
related. You're like,
know.
there's gunplay. Actually, this does.
Yeah.
You can take lessons away.
I know. But now he's
Wow.
under administrative leave pending disciplinary process. But damn, he got in trouble for, I don't know if he rented it or bought the movie.
Dude,
That's one you
Why
gotta
are
pay
you getting
for
in
on your
trouble
own.
for something so ridiculous? Like, stop. Come on, man. I feel bad for this guy. He made a really dumb mistake, but I actually feel bad for him. Can't we just charge him for John Wick 4? I mean, he didn't even get the best John Wick movie. I mean, come on. Like, why are we?
It was
I know he shouldn't
$6,
do.
it says.
I know he shouldn't do. Wait, it's only $6?
He must have rented it. He must have rented the HD
What from?
copy.
I was gonna say, where is he renting it from? None of this makes any sense. I'm very confused. But let's give him a slap on the wrist. He doesn't need to be someone in his direct department is doing something way worse than renting or buying or acquiring John Wick for an undisclosed period for $6. Someone in his department is doing far worse. Let's stop focusing on this guy, okay?
I think the public shame is enough.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
Absolutely.
His name's out there. Yeah.
He'd be like, can't you just fire me and not release this story? They're like, no, man,
Yeah.
you're getting the fucking story.
Yeah. Oh, man. I had something memorable happen to me this week. Well, memorable because I remember it, and it was this week. That's my definition of memorable. But something unusual. So I was going for a run, and I got to a 4-way stop, and I was on the left side of the road, and there's a car at the 4-way, SUV coming from my right to my left, and the window's down, and I see a girl out like waving, and I sort of do the like I look, but I don't look because I don't know if they're like waving at me or something like that, and then. So I was, and I obviously I couldn't tell who it was. So I was like, maybe it's somebody I know. So I stopped and I waited for the car to go by. And the window's down, and I see, and then they're like, really, this girl's like waving me down, and I'm like, okay. So she gets in front of me, and I hit my headphone. I didn't even know what she's saying, but I was like, she's like, hi, and I was like, oh hey. So, and I didn't. I was like, oh okay, I don't know who this is. I was like, well, as I'm going through my brain, I'm like, it could be, who knows, somebody I met in a bar once, like. It could be somebody who thinks they know me from like Wegmans or something like that. Then I walk up to the driver's side window because I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And then I see another girl in there, and I was like, what is going on? It's probably a couple girls in their mid-20s or something like that.
I've seen videos like this.
I know. I was like, so she's like, hey, I got a question for you. And I was like, oh boy. And I was like, oh, she must be asking me out for the other girl. Probably. That's probably what it is. She's probably doing her friend a solid.
What are they in 7th grade?
I was like,
my friend like.
So I'm like, oh well, yeah. I was like, she's not maybe not as cute as the driver, but okay, I'm into it. I was like, she's like, hey, God. We question. I was like, okay, and she's like, so we go to a church around here, and we wanted to know if you wanted to go to church with us. I was like, oh man,
you
like, oh God.
All right, let's hold on, let's digest. So to if this
all time backfires.
this video if there was a video of this, it would be like I don't know, this two co-eds pull up and ask a runner if he wants to join them.
This is so the reverse bang bus.
Here's the here's the thing though. Here's the thing. It's still a win because that's a fantastic thing you are not expecting someone to ask. They didn't ask for directions or something like that. We belong to a church and we want to know if you want to go. I'd still say things are going great for you, but there's some questions to be asked. Like, because I don't care. Either they're asking you to go to church and it's like, well, that's interesting. Maybe they're just really nice people. Or they want you to go to a church, aka cult, and it's going to be something really weird, which, again, great story to tell. But also sub-questions is, I'm jogging. Am I getting in the car right now? Am I meeting you at church?
Yeah.
Do I have time to go like shower? Because I am jogging and I don't know what kind of church you're in, but I probably would think that the rest of the church goers would rather I be at least not smelly. So what was our reaction? So now that we know that there's a lot of things, what's going on?
It was slight bummage. Well, it's funny because the way she asked, like the tone was still sort of like kind of sexy. It was kind
Sultry.
of like, hey, it's kind of like, hey,
That's how
yeah, we
they
can go
do
to
it.
church. And I was like, yeah.
Probably.
And I was like, oh, balls. So I was like, well, first I was like, yeah, should I go? I don't know. And it's like, my thought was like, at least I passed some kind of bar where I didn't look super scary and creepy when I was running because they invited me. I mean, they outnumbered me, that's for sure. And this is clearly like this is the exact opposite experience that a woman has. Like with two guys pulling up in a car to her, they're not like they're like, "Hey, do you want us to tag team fuck you in the car?" Basically, you know,
Right. And
that's
you
what
get
every girl would
proposed for
get.
church.
I get the exact opposite. What a world we live in. So I was just
Classic.
kind of, it took me, so I was like, oh, thank you. I think I said that. I was like, geez, thanks. And I started backing
Thanks.
up and putting my headphone back in. And I was like, she's like, oh, why not? And I was like, you know, it's just not my thing. But I said, thank you though. I said, thank you for thinking of me. I'm going to keep running. Like that was it. I could have offered more, but I was scared, honestly. That scared me. I would rather them
And what?
have taken me into their back seat, honestly.
Why did that scare? Why did that scare you?
There's something about the energy and the balls of Christian girls that who are so strong in their belief and recruiting people. The recruit like when it comes to recruitment for church, that's just another energy that I think takes it above just being a believer. That's like, no, we need people. We need to bring people into this. Yeah, yeah. It's like it's different than just being like for myself, for my family. Like it's like, no, we need to bring in the population. We need to, yeah. So maybe it was culty. Who knows? And then I was scared for the next 2 minutes because I kept running, and I was like, they're gonna drive by me again. I can feel it. I just know it's gonna turn into like, well, why don't you? No, but why? And it's gonna turn into one of those. They didn't, and I haven't seen them again on my running route. But I don't know. What should I have done? Should I have? Should I don't know? Because like, do you go just for the sake of hanging out with a couple babes, but you fake belief or you did not believe? I don't know.
See,
It seems wrong.
I don't. I no 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 no. You throw out and stop and invite someone like that, you are leaving yourself open to someone faking interest just for a good time. So like,
Ooh,
nope,
damn,
nope,
you're
no
right.
guilt there because you went about wackadoo recruiting techniques. Now that being said, I think you did have to slow down. Like you can't make the decision right there. I don't believe in that because your brain has to like wrap around it. My problem is that I stay for a couple extra questions. I make them probably need to pull over because I want to just keep asking follow-up questions to gain information. You know, a good 2-minute discussion. I'm so effing curious that if it's local where I'm gonna go, I'm probably gonna go. I'm probably gonna say, I gotta have this story. There's no way I go and that ends up being just a boring one-time visit to church because the way that you would process things, the entire time you'd be there, you'd be going, how did I get here? I went out for a jog. An hour later, I'm in church with people. Like it would be, you could turn that into the most confusing day ever for yourself and just be like, like, you'd almost want to go to church and be the most open you've ever been with the public because you'd want to talk to every single person there. You'd be like, who are these people? Who are these people? Who are, like, you'd ask the girls, be like, tell me who these people are. Oh, I saw you just gave them like blessings or you know, the fellowship when you go around and just start shaking people's hands in the middle of church. So yeah, I think, you know, as far as the actual physical danger of it, I mean, that's, you got, you take your shot. if nothing else, the worst that happens is what? You die. And and with that, you get to die
Must
knowing
go to heaven. Yeah.
right.
Gotta be.
Right. Because you are the victim of victims. But
A sacrifice.
yeah, man. I think the intel that you could gather from any amount, 1 hour of your day to, you know what, I'm going to turn this into a day. I would have loved to see the opportunity present itself and then just be like, yeah, I think, yeah, I'm going to say yes. And let's see, like, your move. Like, cause if it's a bluff, it's like, all right, your move. I'm getting in the car. Now, again, you're still left with the problem of, right, are you getting into the car now? Like, because if you're not, you don't want to tell them like, oh, here's where I live. You should pick me up. You're probably not going to go if you're like, give me the address. I'll meet you there, because you're like, well, I'm not going to go because I'll be out of the situation. But also I'm not going to go because I'm not going to go looking for you and be like, hey, 2 girls invited me to this today. One had like hair. The one in the passenger was not as cute. So like you can't bank on that. So I think the biggest problem you faced was not the fact that 2 random strangers stopped and asked you to go to church. Your biggest problem was, how do I go to church without smelling, but also without them knowing where I live? That's the biggest problem.
Danger.
Well, what a progressive church, number one, that lets its women drive. That's and go out into public. Got to give them credit for that. And there's 2 words they could have used that probably could have. Here's my recommendation if they're going to do this in the future, because you used a word that would have intrigued me right away, which is, would you like to join our fellowship? Which would have been like, ooh, now I feel recruited. Now I feel like we're onto something. That's something I want to be a part of. Or if they would have said something like, hey, for our church, we're doing a scavenger hunt and we need to find somebody to bring back. It's kind of like, oh, scavenger hunt. That's fun. That's a word I like, so start bringing, just like, you want to go
lure me in. I'm like a fucking kid. Like it's like a kid in an unmarked van with candy and Huffies. Like just use keywords: scavenger hunt, fellowship.
I know. Yeah. Make it an adventure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Two girls, 1 cup, just stuff like that. Stuff I know and I've heard and I've seen in film. Anything like that. Yeah.
2 girls, 1 fellowship. Like, see, the problem is right, is if I go to church with you, I'm going as an observer. If I'm going to come to your fellowship, I'm a participator. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Get me involved.
Yeah. I know you need a dwarf. Let me be here.
So
I'll be your Gimli.
Yeah, I got a friend who's a mage if you give me some time. So I'm gonna kind of go. I'm gonna go into that realm. So I was at the local Walmart. This is probably now a couple weeks ago, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and outside of Walmart, there's oftentimes there'll be like Girl Scout cookie slinging and stuff like that. Kind of, typical stage setups. Well, this time was not Girl Scouts. They were like people with like a table. The table did have a tablecloth on it, so I figured it was legit. Some little stands ups and like some pamphlets and a sheet. So I'm like, okay. They don't look like they just showed up here. They look like probably Walmart gave them the okay, or just Walmart doesn't give a shit. But anyway, this person starts talking to me. The 2 people manning the table are a guy and a girl, presumably in their like early 20s. Both of them look like. So that's evidently the theme, is early 20s strangers interactions with 40-year-olds. But I digress. So this girl comes up and she's like, hey, well, how, would you like to donate to help feed the hungry? And I'm like, all right, well, what's your organization? Like, she didn't hold like a can and like look for physical donations. She just like asked a question. I go, okay, well, what's your organization? Can't remember the fucking name of it for the life of me, probably because I don't care. but she's like, I go, okay, so what do you actually do? Like, what does your group do? Well, we combat hunger around the world and stuff. And I go, she starts rambling, and I go, no, no, yeah, no. Like, I get you, like, the general concept that you're asking about, but I go, but what does your organization literally do? I go,
Wow,
how
you're
do they,
really engaging this.
how? Oh yeah, because I'm like, dude, it's one of those times where I'm like, if I'm stopping, we're gonna shift this from you wasting my time to me wasting your time if you're not good at this. So, like, because I want the upper hand in this. So she's like, well, we there's farms and we like donate chickens or something like that. And I go, but whatever she said, like, the process didn't make sense. It was like donating chickens to farms or something. And I go, I don't understand what we're saying. I go, what does your group do? And she goes, well, we're combating Hungary. I go, stop. I go, stop. I go, for a minute. I go, you need to stop pitching me. I go, you're giving me a pitch. I go, I don't want a pitch. I want you to tell me, how does my donation, where does my money go to? What do you guys do to prevent hunger? So we supply, and I'm like, who is we? How are you getting the supply? Like, it wasn't like we pay farmers to farm this to then donate to, like, it was never, I'm like, just give me a 10-second explanation of what do you do. And she fucking for the life couldn't. You'd swear I asked her for the meaning of life. This girl was so fucking stumped. And I go, so here's the problem. I go, I'm going to leave and not give you money because you can't even tell me what this organization does. I'm like, it's got to be better than that. And I fucking walked away.
What in the hell is going on here?
And the guy observing her go through this has to be like, the look on his face, he's like, I am so glad this one is on you and not on me. Like, that guy looked like, he's right. We have no fucking clue what we're doing. Like, and it's annoying.
They were like,
yeah.
Did they actually work for it, or were they like just?
No, I think they did.
Were they like Craigslist people that were like got chosen to do this?
No, the problem is it's probably legitimate, but it's kind of indicative that it's like, you don't even know what the fuck you're selling to people. You're hoping people will just do one of two things: walk away from you or donate blindly to shut you up. Like, my problem is that I wanted to like call this organization and be like, you have people that are trying to ask for money that literally can't even have a conversation about what you guys do. Either educate your people better or just fucking give up. Like, I'm guessing you guys are not successful. Whatever your model is, I'm guessing it isn't good. But they seemed like college kids trying to help, but just couldn't fucking formulate a goddamn conversation. It was this pitch that was clearly like drilled into them with no ability to answer follow-up questions. So I'm just like, you know what? I don't know who to feel bad for other than myself. I'm like, is it the organization that's shit out of luck? Is it these kids who can't fucking interact to save their fucking lives because they don't know how humans work? And it's like, man, if I could fucking TikTok this, I'd be so good at it. Or is it me? Am I the fucking sucker because I'm like, damn it, I wasted 2 minutes of my life? Unlikely, because then I got something to mention on the podcast. But like, fuck. This is what I hate about like our public. Like, we just suck. We're so fucking bad at human interaction that points just can't get across. And that's why I like being like, I like the job that I do interacting with people, because it's becoming more and more of a fucking lost art, because people just, we can one way of doing things. And if people don't understand it, we're, as a society, we're like, too fucking bad. We're just going to keep moving forward without you then, I guess. So like having a human side and being able to like explain and extrapolate on stuff is a fucking skill. And it's becoming more and more. People skills are becoming way more skills than just a throwaway term.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot talk about it without crying.
Well, they probably were posted up out there. They don't really expect a lot of resistance or questions from the Walmart crowd, I'm guessing. They probably didn't do a lot of prep.
Also true. True. Yeah, they're probably signed up for the like, ignoring.
It's like this idea of like the soft skills in every job is like, you gotta like companies or whatever, they gotta be finding the people that can have those soft skills now in meaning that like how to communicate with people and chat and like how to de-escalate situations and do stuff like that, because you can learn any part of a job like really or most people can, or you got to bank on that, because the harder part, you're right, is dealing with people, especially like post-COVID stuff. Like at Wegmans, like there was this like customer service program training thing where we would teach like what to do in customer service, and now it's been dumbed down. It changed now to like the basics, where step one is lift your head. Like it's literally telling you what to do, like how to do it. Like look at people, lift your head, look around for people, and it's like instead of like going advanced and like having like it's like this is how you interact with a human being. You look at them, and that's how dumbed down it is now. Because like I think, well, the era of COVID, then a lot of kids, like phone kids and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's their fault, but like they missed out on being in high school and shit like that. So a lot of kids missed out on a couple years of socializing with people and don't know how to like have an interaction away from a phone, or how to handle cash, do stuff like that. So the more like that, yeah, it's like a skill now. Like maybe it'll be one of the trades. You can do welding or talking to people. Like one of those. Like, it
Yeah,
might be a
like
trade.
yeah, it's 100%. And you notice like too is like that's how you instantly become like a supervisor, probably in more like customer service roles. It's like, can you even function with customers? Be like, oh, you can have a conversation. That's supervisor material. Why? Because you're going to be your frontline associates are going to be dumb as shit and unable to process humans. So you're going to have to be the supervisor because people are going to ask for one. And it's, but the tough part is the other side of it is that it's fantastic when you also happen to get a customer who can handle human interaction. So you need that beautiful matchup, because the problem is you have customers that think they're complaining to try to get something. But there's a lot of times where I think that they're complaining with no actual hope of getting anywhere. But so like they're going in and being like, I'm not leaving this conversation until you appease me. But they don't even know what they want out of the complaint.
Yeah.
So like it never progresses. It just becomes this like, well, now I'm wasting people's skills on you because we're not getting anywhere with this. So it is interesting. I'm not certain. I don't train a lot of young people. I definitely train, like, insurance is weird. We are an industry filled with people with crushed dreams and plan Bs and plan Cs. Because I've had one person who told me, I went to college and got a business admin degree with like a focus in insurance. I go, that exists? I'm like, you can go to college for insurance? It's one of the biggest industries in the world, but you can go to college for insurance? Because it's just a melting pot of people who, it's so many people's second and third careers. It really is. It's pretty incredible. And so I don't deal with a lot of people in their 20s, because I'm dealing with more people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, learning a new career. And the youngest people do have the harder time, I would say, with interacting with the people. And know what the hardest part is the like the how do I put this? They can't do a job and interact at the same time. Like, they can't be like, so wait, I have to make sure that I do all of this on the claim, but also I have to be nice to someone. Like, they can't do that congruently. So it's like they can either do all of the technical stuff that you need them to do, or they can be really friendly and forget all of the technical stuff that they need to do. They can't like multitask that, because I don't think they process those as the same thing, like as always happening. So, because it's like, if I'm doing technical stuff, that means I'm on my computer or on my phone. If I'm doing people stuff, that means I'm just having a conversation. So they can do one or the other, but they can't do them at the same time. Whereas in the 90s and 2000s, we grew up in a time where a lot of service jobs were like computering while interacting with people and stuff like that. And it was more of a hybrid, where now when it's hyperactive into the phone, it's you are either in the internets or you are in the regular world. There's not that hybrid area for younger people.
Yeah, that's the skill then. It
Yeah.
is. I never thought about it that way, but that's an interesting way to think about it, because I think I'm there. I might have that. That might be my thing. Like if you can have a balance of like competency, but also being able to talk to strangers generally and problem solve. I mean, and I would say like that's something you can learn from college too. Like there's a anti-college backlash sweeping the nation, and like there should only be trades, which is a good argument because like we're gonna need tradespeople to fix all of our shit. But like being able to like, I really feel like maybe like a liberal arts approach lends itself to something like that we're doing in a way, which is like, yeah, combining disciplines, like having multiple frames of reference, having different understandings and different views on the world, and being able to accept different viewpoints, or at least understand them, or see where somebody's coming from, and being able to adapt to different situations. Um, I don't know. Maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. Maybe I'm just trying to please people by saying things with my mouth. I don't know if that's part of it.
I mean, it is weird. I think liberal arts concepts. I think you're right. Imagine what you could do for 2 years, like folks. This is the time for the 2-year associates in liberal arts degree should be king. That for years that was looked down on, especially in our generation. Oh, you just don't know what you're doing. Liberal arts degrees now, if we had a hodgepodge of 2 years of college, we could give 18 and 19-year-olds, or anyone for that matter trying to start a new career, we should jam pack 20 courses over the course of 4 semesters, 20 courses worth of just different areas of that hybrid world. A little bit of human resources, a little bit of public speaking, and just, I don't know if that's what liberal arts is, to be honest with you. I just know the term liberal arts degree. I don't know what the actual curriculum is, but I'd love to, if someone can get that for me. In fact, I might look that up for next time, what the liberal arts degree program is at a college. And we could break down the 20 classes and discuss like what ones can be thrown out, what ones should be added in, because a 2-year liberal arts degree should hold a fucking lot of water, because companies need that. They don't have it. We're hoping people have one or the other, but we're assuming people don't have both.
I think it's giving like people the opportunity to like know a little bit about a lot, which I think is the way to start out, because you can always like know a lot about a little later on, like folks, because once you get to your job, that's when you got to like drill in on what you got to know. Yeah, and then you can learn it on the job. But to have like a base level knowledge, or the ability to learn and to at least have an understanding of a lot of different things, will put you, I think will give you a leg up in a lot. Like I don't even mean it as a braggy way, but it's like some people think that I know a lot, or have all these wild experiences because I've traveled a little, or I went to college, or I've had I've had a lot of different types of jobs. So I have, but it's not anything that nobody else could have done. I haven't done anything otherworldly or beyond the ability of a human being at all, not even close to it. I just have done it. And through those experiences, like I've gained different knowledge sets, different abilities. And I think there's something to that. Now, I mean, I'm not brilliant at anything, at any one thing at all. I mean, I'm not a master of anything. So, I mean, it's hard when I write a resume and I'm like, geez, what am I really good at? And it's like, well, maybe I don't have to be really good at one thing. I could just be okay at a lot of things. And I think that holds water in a lot of different avenues. And that can at least get your foot into the door, so that you can have like stable conversations with people, and professionalism. You can understand people and what's expected of you and how to deliver, and just like I guess the more I grow in the more I experience in the professional world, the more I understand that the bare minimum can get by. Like, and the bare minimum is a lot, or even better, like mediocrity. If you're just above mediocre, it doesn't take a lot, and it's proportionally, it's way too impressive. Like for some reason, like just being just average or above average comes off as way too impressive in the business world. But that's because it's so, um, like the bottom is so rock bottom that you just have to be a little bit over it. Um, and so I guess I'm not really bragging because I'm just better than rock bottom. That's what I mean. It's like, but it's not hard.
If there's a
It's not
central
hard.
idea of this, it's that I'm slightly better than complete fucking trash. No, man, you're right. And it's because it's weird because, yeah. So, like, obviously everyone's kind of always addressed, especially in the last, like, 10 years of companies like, the LinkedIn concept of, all right, we need someone fresh out of college with 7 years experience, a master's degree
Oh yeah.
for this entry level job. And you're like, but then you get the job and you're like, literally a fucking goon could do this job. Why are the prereqs so high? And it's not like they hire great people for the simple job. Simpletons still get through and do the work. So, like, you're right. I think it's all about show me you're competent, right? Because a lot of places will say the 4-year degree argument is that, well, show us that you can dedicate to a goal and achieve that goal. So some people use that as the universal concept of, like, this requires a 4-year degree. Why? To prove to us that you could stick with something and achieve a goal, as opposed to the actual content of the degree, aka the insurance world. So, right, I don't, the technical stuff, I've always said this too, is I'm like, why do you want all of the experience coming into the job? Your job isn't going to be isn't going to be like what their prior experience is anyway. It'll be ish, but, like, don't you want to show them how your company wants something done and things like that? Like, don't you want to build habits and work on people? Like, just find out who's not a fucking dummy, hire them, and then build from there with the technical knowledge. You're right. Like, dude, the fact that I took like marketing, business admin, finance, collective bargaining. These are all like things I took in classes for. And it's like, in all reality, I didn't learn that much from these college classes. Stuff that could have been training on the job. You just had to know that I was A, willing to do it, B, in what kind of person and employee am I, and then go from there. Like, you can build anyone, like, the technical knowledge can be built along the way, despite what any thought process there is otherwise. So why fucking waste our college time on getting into specific knowledge when you're right? It's just, no, like, we just need to know how things will look and how to think. So, like, psych classes, which are usually poo-pooed on outside of a psychology degree, like, maybe that's the better stuff that people really need to work on, is like, no, we got to teach you how to process information, how to think, how to interact with people. Not, this is how you math. And that's coming from a guy who loves math. Like, and I liked learning structured things. You want to know why? Because it was cut and dry. It was straightforward. This is how this equation works. Every fucking time, plug in whatever numbers you want. You just do this. That's why I liked math, is because it didn't take guesswork. But in reality, if I needed that for something, I could just learn it then or relearn it. I don't remember all of the math that I got taught, but guess what? If you put me in front of it and taught it to me again, I'd learn it again. And then I would need it for what I need to. And then my brain would bail on it again later on so that I could remember more pointless shit.
Dude, it's crazy to think about like math like that. Well, like math you don't use anymore, and geometry and like SAT math. I think like within the last 2 years, I went through and like looked at SAT math questions, and I was like, "Holy shit! How did I know this before?" And now I don't like. Now I would. I mean, you're right. I could relearn it. I obviously have the ability to do it because I did it once. But if you don't use it, you lose it. I was talking about it with somebody the other day at actually my dad's retirement party, but we're talking about languages and how like I have a Russian studies degree and I went to Russia, I live there, and now I barely remember any of the language. It's just like, but that's like my
Impressive.
whole degree is that, and now I don't even know because I don't use it, and it's so
I am
ridiculous.
in a pickle.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, it stinks. I always try to kind of like, I keep telling myself I want to go like Linguo and not Linguo. That's the robot from Simpsons. Duolingo.
Mhm.
And I want to like re-up my Spanish. I'm surprised as to how a decent amount I retain, but I want to get back into that. And I think other languages should really be pushed as almost like a part of a curriculum in college, because that is invaluable. Again, that's a communication, that's a people skill. And you're a fucking sucker if you are a hardcore dingleberry America person and think that other fucking languages aren't just gonna fucking swarm right in and fucking take over, you dum-dums. Because like nothing makes me feel worse as an American than every other country seemingly knowing how to speak English.
I know.
Like
Or
every
at
10,
least 2 languages.
every fucking, certainly every 20-year-old in another country can fucking speak English and probably something else, right? And we're all just like, we have 90% of Americans who can't fucking wrap their heads around there, and there. So yeah, I mean, listen, folks, if another world war breaks out, we're fucked. We're fucked. We are a fucking load of dummies. And I know everywhere has the internet, and there's probably TikTokers in every country, but fuck, ours have got to be the big shining stars in that derp world. Sorry, all of a sudden this turned in from like people skills into fucking harassing everyone. Everyone's stupid.
You just got to turn it on. Hey, you know when to turn it on. That's all you got to do. You know, that's the big deal. I thought of a question. Let's wrap up with this,
Sure.
because I've
Please.
asked this question to a lot of people in my life, and somehow it's never come up. To my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I've never asked you this question on this pod. And it's sort of like fits into the realm of a would you rather or a conceptual question, but I also want you to think about it. Like, would you actually do it? And if you do, how would you do it? So the question is, would you break your own leg for $1 million?
Okay, is that just
I've
the
asked a
entire
lot
premise?
of people this, and it's kind of because, like, to me, I remember first thinking about it, and I was like, of course, like, who wouldn't do that? And the taking out the cost of medical. So the idea is also within this
net
world,
$1 million.
it's been narrowed down to, yeah. So yeah, outside of costs of whatever it is, or however long it takes, and your leg does heal fully, but you just have to break it yourself. Find a way to break your leg and fully break. There's no cheating that. So I've had conversations with different people.
Okay,
like,
good. So
not
yeah,
your leg breaks. You
that's a
have to
different
break it yourself.
That's a different
somehow.
conversation. Okay, so
Yeah.
that's a different conversation. So, all right, because my original processing is, would I take a situation in which my leg breaks with not knowing how the future goes for $1 million? So I'm like, okay, well, if I don't know how the future goes, how do I want to take this? But you've now flipped it in a different proposal of, yes, I'll give you the assurance that everything does go back to normal, but you have to purposefully break your leg. Ready, set, go.
Mm-hmm. So you can do different
so
ways.
So it's not a want,
because you could
right?
mess it up. Like,
it's not a want.
A what?
It's not a want. I don't think you're right, because so instinctively, the first version is, would I want to go through that? All right, that's the question on the first version that I thought of. You're proposing,
okay,
could you do that? Because it's not the mystery. There is no mystery, so it's not a want of taking a chance. There's no chance here. This is, would you sign up for the contractual concept of, okay, it all pans out, but the psychological ability, do you have it in you to break your own leg? That's the question you're proposing. So it's not a want, it's, do you have the willpower and psychological ability?
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. I am in that realm. If I'm being honest, I don't think I could. And I want to be able to. I'd want to I'd want the money, I'd want the situation, but I don't think I have the ability to do that. What about you? What's your
there's different. I always said yes because like in my mind it's like, oh, it's so easy, you just do it, and then I'm like, but yeah, you're right. Like, how do you do it? So, do you take a baseball bat or a sledgehammer to your own leg, or to me, I thought like, do you just roll a vehicle over your leg, like let it go over your leg? I don't know.
So do you know what I thought of? So my brain
What?
processed
How'd
this
you think of it?
concept. I have me sitting on the ground with like my right leg poised up on my left knee. So we're looking tib fib area, and me with a comical like large rock and like going like that. But I'm like, I can't do that. I'm like, I can't do that. But right, how do you, the car thing? The car could easily just run you over and not break your leg. That's possible. Granted, that wouldn't hurt nearly as bad, but right. So what are you doing? Pitching your ankle. So, but the problem is then is your ankle, if I break my ankle on accident, does that not count because it has to be a tib fib fracture? Like it has to be a tibia, fibula, or femur fracture?
I don't know.
So like how do you poise your leg that it's getting run over and the leg shattering? I don't think that's something that's not a controlled environment for you. So yeah, man, I think it's the literal, do you have the willpower to do it? Which sounds like such a more fucked up question, but that's why I like it, because it's not a want. It's not like a gamble of like, oh, sure, I would do that for the pain. That's not what we're talking about, friend. We're talking about you breaking your leg intently.
I never considered that the hold your ankle up or hold it up on a table deal and just like, throw something down on it like a cinder block or you'd have to make it count, but fuck God. Ooh,
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
that's gross. Yeah, because when I first thought of it, so the more I'd ask people, the more no's I would get, and it kind of surprised me. But then the more people tell me about their no's, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Because like in a vacuum, it's like, oh, the $1 million. Why wouldn't you do it, knowing you're going to be healed, and that you just have to go through the pain of it? But yeah, in that moment, can you execute? Can you actually do it? I don't know.
Yeah, because look, part of it is
my leg.
Part of it is
and
this,
I didn't
though,
get paid.
Is that we're also having to do this. We're troubleshooting how we would do it. So the reality is if someone only gave you those guidelines, you'd have to go through a trial and error and hoping your leg breaks. Meanwhile, you will have error probably. And you're like, oh my God, each one of these is for free. Every time I fucking do this, I'm literally just doing this to myself for free. And then even if I do eventually, so each failure, are you more determined to do it because you've now invested, or is it going to scare you away? So I think the decision actually starts snowballing and gets more and more stressful every time you fail. So you might be more
like,
poised
do you just
to
take a
bail.
Hammer continuously to your leg.
Is that how a bone is going to break? I don't.
It's like
you can't do that. It's got to be you have to be banking on a single impact, but what single impact is guaranteed? You broke your leg. When did you break your leg?
In 2007, playing softball. We might have talked about it on an early ep, but I ran into somebody's head and it fractured my tibial plateau. Got some screws in there. Yeah, throw came over from third base to first base. It was off. The first baseman dove for the ball, but into the baseline towards me, and like just took out my leg, like right into my knee, and then fractured it. And that hurt.
So you just set that up again,
like,
right?
Compound.
You just set that up again.
Yeah.
You just and then you know what you're.
I guess I could do it again because I did it once. Yeah. Right. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I default to yes, but every time the conversation's had, it tips me more to no. Yeah. Like, and then is there a price? Like, is it 10 million? Then it's definite, or like 1 million seems to be the sweet spot too. For some reason, like $1 million doesn't hold what it used to. in the world.
No, that is
So-
definitely a different theoretical.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Well, let's get in touch with Mr. Beast. See if he's willing to get into a little bit more fucked up stuff, and see if he'll propose this to someone. So we'll get Mr. Beast
Well, that
on
was
the show.
I went along with with one of the if you had $1 million. Well, yeah, if you had like the life lottery, had a bunch of money, what would you do with it? I would definitely pay people to break their legs. That's for sure.
Jesus Christ! Well,
$1 million.
Jesus, Matt, I think you just absolutely confirmed you're a sociopath.
I'm reverse Mr. Beast. Yeah. Instead of like
It's a Mr. Beast / Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Kind of hybrid.
Can you stay in a grocery store for 2 weeks? Like, oh,
Matt's
like,
like, will
can
you
you
break
break
your
your
own
own leg?
fucking leg?
yeah. Will you latch your ankle into this tire and then just fall backwards until it snaps? Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. Boy, there's no better. Yeah, that's a good. It's a good final question to ask. Well, I
We're
always like to leave
liberally
people-
educated.
Mhm.
We are geniuses. All right. Well, thanks again, friends. Be well. I guess next time we'll have to go over some of the Creed versus Nickelback feedback, whatever
Okay.
we got.
Weird. It's
Some
called
people seem to
feedback. Notice
like
it's
the
not called
concept.
Feed Creed or Creed Feed. It's called Feedback. Okay, that's like Nickelback, not Creed Feed.
more to me than the song in its entirety.
It's over.